Over the years, many farmers and ranchers have learned firsthand the value of working with government agencies like the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to cultivate healthier ecosystems. Here to talk more about this topic is Heather Johnson from U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Heather, thanks for coming to the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You know, some in the environmental community would suggest that we should not graze cattle in order to protect fish and wildlife, but I think you have some experience in seeing how cattle can actually protect and enhance the environment for fish and wildlife. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Grazing is completely compatible with fish and wildlife. In fact, we have a lot of grassland dependent birds and other wildlife and fish species actually that it's essential that grazing is a part of that healthy grassland ecosystem. Absolutely. And then, you think about that protection side of things, we got to keep those families on the land. I mean, that grass is so critically important, and we have so many different competing, compatible uses or different land uses that, cattle grazing is truly the best.
Yeah, absolutely. Proper management of that. And,
exactly.
Some ranchers sometimes think that doing anything that would enhance fish and wildlife is only a cost to their operation, but in fact it can also add to the bottom line, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I really think they kind of go hand in hand. When you're out there on your property and you're doing all kinds of, stewardship practices, I mean, you're getting better grass, better water. I mean, we're both in the same business, really, depends on the critter. But, that's critically important because those practices, it might be a grazing system, it might be water development, it might be enhancing a riparian area. All of those things are building soil health, ecosystem resilience, and it helps the health of the herd and also the profitability of the ranch as well as fish and wildlife. So absolutely,
multiple
hand
benefits.
in hand. Yep.
And I suppose that's one of the reasons why you all have been such strong supporters for well over 20 years of the Environmental Stewardship Award Program. That's the first time you and I met actually through this program.
Yes.
Why is it so important for U.S. Fish and Wildlife to continue supporting that award program?
I just don't think we can thank these families enough. I mean, they're out there, just doing all of these incredible things because they love the land. They love their families. They want to pass it on in better shape to the next generation. And these things are critically important, And so we love being sponsors of the Stewardship Program, Environmental Stewardship Award Program. And, we have to tell the story, It doesn't get told enough. And, we have the families that have won, and we have a whole bunch more that are so deserving. And, we're just so pleased to be a part of it. And we know that it's absolutely a win-win for the cattle industry as well as for the Fish and Wildlife Service.
Well, I was going to ask you, I mean, in terms of the Fish and Wildlife Service and the work that you do, how critical is it to have ranchers and farmers who are not only open to new ideas, but something else you said, open to sharing those ideas?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're incredible spokespeople. These folks are the leaders in the industry in the cattle business, and they're so generous with their time. I mean, they're doing ranch tours, they're bringing neighbors over, they're sharing, and it's the transferability of all those incredible ideas, and really that peer-to-peer learning that is tremendous. And then all of the alumni gets together, they've built this camaraderie and trust, and, they're sharing all these ideas, and, we can never just sit flat-footed. We're always looking to the future because we have challenges coming. We have drought. We have invasive species. We have fires in the West. We have things that are challenging us, and staying always on that cutting edge, and then transferability of all those great ideas. It really is helping the industry to be, very proactive and successful, as well as helping fish and wildlife conservation.
Yeah, and it really is a partnership, as you mentioned, and it's always amazed me just the alumni group. You mentioned alumni.
Oh my God.
That group of really progressive thought leaders in our industry are incredible and very motivating to be around, right?
Oh, it's so true. I mean, it never fails. Somebody picks up the phone and calls, and they're just like, come on out. Hey, we got, 40 people in a bus. They're like, come on out. We're perfectly happy with that. And say, oh, we'll take an hour of your time. And they're still there saying, well, you want to stay for supper?
That's incredible.
They're super generous with their time. And, that's really cool. And then you think about that next generation. The young kids, sometimes we have 4 generations at that ranch. And you don't think at 3 they're learning. Oh, yeah. All the way up, those generations are learning, all of those stewardship practices, and they're bringing it into the future, which is really exciting.
That is what we call sustainability. So tell me this, if somebody's watching, Heather, and they want to get involved or want to explore opportunities that there may be with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, what advice would you give them?
Well, the Partners for Fish and Wildlife program is the private lands program that we have with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. So we have a program that Congress has appropriated to be able to do restoration enhancement to help private landowners. And so we have a website, fws.gov/partners, and people can go there, and there's a map of the United States. They click on the map in the state they live in, and somebody close to them in their local area, their private lands biologist, can just drive out to the ranch and talk about the things, well, what is it that you're hoping to do improvements on your land, and put together an agreement and be able to work together. We have both financial and technical assistance, and they come from agriculture. We hire these people that they love wildlife, but they came from agriculture, and they want to create the win-win solutions for those private landowners. So it's an excellent program, and it's exciting that the Fish and Wildlife Service wants to reach out, sit at the kitchen table, drive around the ranch, and help to come up with those win-win solutions, because really, we have so much more in common that really separates us.
It's been such a pleasure getting to know you all these 20 years, and really appreciate
Likewise.
everything that you do to work with cattle ranchers and farmers all across the United States in improving the environment for fish and wildlife. Thanks for coming.
Well, it's entirely a pleasure. It's great working with you and the whole National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the producers, and just being a part of the Environmental Stewardship Award program has been so rewarding, and we plan on being partners for a very long time, so thank you so much.
It's great to hear. Many producers have pointed to U.S. Fish and Wildlife as a key partner that have helped them achieve their goals. Just visit fws.gov/partners to learn about the technical and financial assistance the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service can provide your operation.